For over a century, one weapon has dominated the world's oceans: the American aircraft carrier. These floating cities changed warfare forever. But which one deserves the crown as the greatest ever built? Today, we're counting down 10 legendary carriers from worst to best. And before you click away, stick around till the end. We're answering the most asked questions about these incredible ships. Let's get one thing straight right from the start. When we say worst, we're not talking about failures. Every carrier on this list played a crucial role in American naval history. The ones at the bottom, they were pioneers. The ones at the top, they're the result of 100 years of innovation, combat experience, and lessons learned the hard way. Here's what makes this ranking fascinating. The gap between number 10 and number 1 isn't just about years. We're talking about complete revolutions in technology. Ships that went from burning coal to splitting atoms, from launching wood and fabric biplanes to catapulting stealth fighters into the sky. And if you've ever wondered how America maintains total naval dominance with just 11 carriers while other nations struggle to build even one, you'll understand everything by the time we reach our number 1 pick. So let's jump right in, starting with the carrier that began it all. 10th one, USS Langley. Our story begins in 1922 with USS Langley. And let's be honest, this thing barely qualifies as an aircraft carrier. The Navy didn't build Langley from scratch. They took an old coal-hauling ship called Jupiter and basically strapped a wooden flight deck on top of it. Langley was tiny, just under 14,000 tons. She stretched 542 feet long, which sounds impressive until you compare her to modern carriers that are twice that size. Her propulsion system produced only 7,200 shaft horsepower. That gave her a pathetic top speed of 15.5 knots. To put that in perspective, she was slower than World War I destroyers. Imagine trying to operate with a battle fleet when your carrier can't even keep up. It's like bringing a bicycle to a Formula One race. She could carry 36 aircraft and a crew of 468 sailors. But combat capability? Almost none. Langley's real mission was education. She became America's floating classroom for carrier aviation. Every landing technique you see today, tested first on Langley. Every catapult innovation, started here. Every deck procedure, Langley wrote the book. When World War II kicked off, Langley was already ancient history. The Navy converted her into a seaplane tender. In February 1942, Japanese bombers found her south of Java. 5 direct hits. She was done. American destroyers had to sink her to prevent capture. Why does Langley rank dead last? Simple. She was never meant for real combat. She was a proof of concept, a floating experiment. Every carrier that came after learned from her weaknesses. She taught the Navy what not to do, and sometimes that's just as valuable. 9th one, USS Lexington. Fast forward to 1927 and USS Lexington. Now we're talking about a real fleet carrier. Unlike Langley, Lexington was built with serious combat in mind. Well, sort of. She actually started as a battlecruiser hull. Then the Washington Naval Treaty killed battleship construction, so the Navy converted her into a carrier instead. Lexington was massive for her time, 888 feet long with a beam over 100 feet. She displaced 33,000 tons. Her turbo-electric propulsion system was revolutionary, pushing her to 33 knots. Finally, a carrier that could keep up with the fleet. She packed serious firepower too. 8 8-inch guns, 12 5-inch anti-aircraft mounts, and capacity for 81 aircraft. For 15 years, Lexington showed the world what American carrier power looked like. Then came World War II. Lexington fought in the desperate early months when America was on its heels. She provided cover for the Doolittle raid preparations. She fought at the Battle of the Coral Sea in May 1942. Her aircraft helped sink the Japanese carrier Shoho. But on May 8th, the Japanese found her. Dive bombers and torpedo planes swarmed her. Multiple bombs exploded across her deck. Torpedoes ripped open her hull. Massive fires erupted below deck, spreading faster than damage control teams could handle. After hours of fighting, her captain ordered abandon ship. American destroyers fired torpedoes into her to finish the job. Lexington ranks 9th, despite her impressive combat record because of fatal design flaws. Her battle cruiser origins meant her armor wasn't designed for air attack. Her huge fuel bunkers and aviation gasoline stores turned her into a floating bomb waiting to explode. Later, carriers learned from her burning wreck. 8th one, USS Enterprise. If you know anything about World War II, you know this name, USS Enterprise. The Big E, the Fighting Lady, the most decorated warship in United States history, 20 battle stars. No other American ship even comes close. Commissioned in 1938, Enterprise was a Yorktown-class carrier measuring just over 800 feet long. She displaced 19,800 tons and could hit 33 knots. She carried 90 aircraft and over 2,200 crew members. Enterprise fought everywhere. She was supposed to be at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, but bad weather delayed her. That delay saved her life. She struck the first American offensive blows after Pearl Harbor. She fought at Midway, where her dive bombers helped sink 4 Japanese carriers in one afternoon. She battled at Guadalcanal, the Philippine Sea, and Leyte Gulf. Her aircraft crippled the super battleship Musashi. Her fighters shot down hundreds of Japanese planes. The Japanese reported sinking her 3 separate times. She kept showing up. By war's end, Enterprise had participated in more major battles than any other U.S. carrier. She was the most successful, most decorated, most legendary carrier in American history. So why does she rank only 8th? Because, as incredible as her combat record was, her design belonged to the pre-jet age. Her straight deck couldn't handle jet operations. Her catapults were too weak for heavy jet aircraft. Her electronics were World War II vintage. The Navy decommissioned her in 1947. And here's the tragedy. Despite massive public campaigns to save her as a museum, she was scrapped in 1958. Veterans never forgave that decision, and honestly, neither should we. Enterprise ranks 8th, not because she lacked courage or achievement, but because technology moved beyond her capabilities. 7th one, USS Midway. Welcome to the post-war era with USS Midway, commissioned in September 1945, right as World War II ended. Midway-class carriers were designed to be bigger, tougher, and more capable than anything that came before. They bridged the gap between war-winning Essex-class carriers and the jet age. Midway started at 45,000 tons and grew to 64,000 tons after modernization. She was over 1,000 feet long. After reconstruction, her flight deck beam reached 238 feet. She could hit 33 knots and initially carried up to 100 aircraft. Here's what's remarkable about Midway. She served for 47 years, from 1945 to 1992, almost half a century. She fought in Vietnam, participated in Desert Storm, and conducted Cold War patrols across every ocean. She was the first American carrier too big to fit through the Panama Canal. But Midway had problems. Her original design made her wet in heavy seas. Waves crashed over the bow constantly. She underwent 3 major reconstructions just to handle heavier jets, and even then she struggled. Her crew nicknamed her the Rock and Roll because she rolled heavily in storms. Midway ranked 7th because, despite serving honorably for nearly 5 decades, she was essentially a World War II design constantly patched and upgraded. She was never as capable as purpose-built jet-age carriers. Today, she's a museum ship in San Diego, which is honestly the perfect ending for her story. 6th one, USS Forrestal. Everything changes with USS Forrestal. Commissioned in 1955, Forrestal was America's first true supercarrier. Everything before her was practice. Everything after her followed her blueprint. Forrestal was massive, over 1,000 feet long with a flight deck 252 feet wide. She displaced 56,000 tons. But size wasn't what made her revolutionary. It was her angled flight deck and 4 steam catapults. This configuration changed everything. For the first time, jets could launch from the bow catapults while other jets landed on the angled deck simultaneously. Sortie rates doubled overnight. This was the future of naval aviation. 8 boilers drove 4 turbines for speeds over 33 knots. She could carry 80 aircraft. She conducted more than 20 deployments supporting operations from Vietnam to Iraq. But Forrestal is remembered for tragedy. July 1967, off Vietnam. A Zuni rocket accidentally fired across the flight deck, hitting an armed A-4 Skyhawk. The resulting fire and explosions killed 132 sailors. Future Senator John McCain barely escaped his burning jet. That disaster rewrote Navy damage control procedures forever. Forrestal ranks 6th because, despite pioneering supercarrier design, she was still conventionally powered. She needed constant refueling, limiting her range and flexibility. The carriers above her solved this problem with nuclear power. Forrestal was scrapped in 2015, but her design influence lives on. 5th one, USS Enterprise, CVN-65. The name Enterprise returns, but this time with nuclear power. CVN-65, commissioned in 1961, was the world's first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. She changed naval warfare forever. Think about it. Unlimited range, no refueling stops for decades, no need for bunker fuel, freeing up massive space for aviation fuel and weapons. This was revolutionary. Enterprise displaced over 93,000 tons and measured 1,123 feet long. Her propulsion was unique. 8 A-2W nuclear reactors driving 4 turbines, producing 280,000 shaft horsepower. She could hit nearly 34 knots. She carried around 60 aircraft typically, with surge capacity for 90. Enterprise participated in the Cuban Missile Crisis, flew thousands of sorties over Vietnam, supported Afghanistan operations, and conducted humanitarian missions worldwide. She served for 55 years. 55 years without ever stopping for fuel. She steamed over 1 million nautical miles and launched more than 400,000 aircraft. So why does Enterprise rank only 5th? 2 reasons. First, her 8-reactor design was unnecessarily complex. Maintenance took forever, required specialized technicians, and cost a fortune. Second, by the time she retired in 2017, Her systems were decades outdated compared to newer carriers. Enterprise proved nuclear carriers worked, but the Navy learned to do it better with the ships that came next. Fourth one, USS Nimitz. Now we reach USS Nimitz, commissioned in 1975, and this is where the Navy perfected the formula. Nimitz introduced a two-reactor nuclear system that balanced power with maintainability. She became the template for 10 sister ships that formed America's naval backbone for 5 decades. Nimitz displaces roughly 100,000 tons and measures nearly 1,100 feet long. 2. A4W nuclear reactors drive 4 turbines producing 260,000 shaft horsepower. Top speed exceeds 31 knots. She carries about 6,000 personnel, 3,500 ship's company, and 2,500 air wing. She can operate around 90 aircraft. Her defensive systems include Sea Sparrow missiles, rolling airframe missiles, phalanx guns, and autocannons in overlapping defensive layers. Nimitz served through the Cold War, Gulf War, Afghanistan, Iraq, and counterterrorism operations. After nearly 9 months at sea in her final deployment, she returned to port in December 2025. The Navy plans to retire her in 2026 after 51 years of service. Nimitz ranks 4th because while she pioneered the successful Nimitz-class design, she's also the oldest with the oldest systems. The ships above her represent improvements on her proven foundation. Make sure you're paying attention because the top 3 represent the absolute peak of carrier technology. Third one, USS Theodore Roosevelt. USS Theodore Roosevelt, commissioned in 1986, represents the mature evolution of the Nimitz class. By the time CVN-71 hit the water, the Navy had learned from earlier ships and incorporated major improvements. She matches standard Nimitz dimensions, nearly 1,100 feet long, over 100,000 tons displacement, flight deck spanning more than 4 acres. She operates more than 60 aircraft and carries around 5,000 crew. Her 2 nuclear reactors provide essentially unlimited range. Theodore Roosevelt fought in Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Iraq, and countless other operations as the core of Carrier Strike Group 9. Her defensive systems include evolved Sea Sparrow missiles and phalanx close-in weapons for layered defense. What separates CVN-71 from earlier Nimitz ships are upgraded electronics, improved fuel systems, and better aircraft handling. Digital network upgrades and modern command and control systems keep her cutting edge despite using the same steam catapults as every Nimitz-class carrier. She ranks 3rd because she represents peak steam catapult carrier technology. Everything learned from the first Nimitz ships got incorporated here, but she's not quite the most advanced Nimitz-class carrier. That honor goes to number 2. Second one, USS George HW Bush, USS. George HW Bush, commissioned in 2009, is the last and most advanced Nimitz-class carrier ever built. She's a bridge ship, incorporating technologies that transition from Nimitz to the revolutionary Ford class. CVN-77 keeps standard Nimitz dimensions but features critical upgrades. Her island is completely redesigned with new radar towers and transparent armored windows. Navigation and communication systems are current generation. She features a bulbous bow for better fuel efficiency. Most importantly, Bush has an upgraded aircraft launch and recovery system, plus a new JP-5 fuel system that dramatically improves fuel handling. These changes reduce her radar signature and boost sortie generation rates. She's the newest Nimitz-class carrier and the last steam catapult carrier the Navy will ever build. Every carrier after her uses electromagnetic systems. That makes CVN-77 the absolute pinnacle of 50 years of steam catapult evolution. Bush has deployed to the Mediterranean and Persian Gulf, supporting strike operations worldwide. She'll probably serve until the late 2050s. She ranks second because while she's the most advanced Nimitz-class ship, she's still fundamentally Nimitz technology. The #1 carrier represents a completely new generation that makes even Bush look outdated. First one, USS Gerald R Ford. Here we are, the absolute pinnacle. USS Gerald R Ford, commissioned in 2017, isn't just better than Nimitz-class carriers, it's a complete revolution in how carriers operate, fight, and survive. Ford displaces around 100,000 tons and measures roughly 1,100 feet long. 2 A-1B nuclear reactors drive 4 shafts for speeds over 30 knots. But here's the game changer. Despite matching Nimitz capability, Ford needs only 2,600 crew compared to 6,000 on Nimitz ships. That reduction comes from massive automation. The electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS, replaces steam catapults entirely. EMALS launches more aircraft types more gently and more rapidly than steam systems. It boosts sortie rates to 160 per day with surge capability to 270. That's nearly double Nimitz capability. Advanced arresting gear improves aircraft recovery while reducing stress on airframes. Ford's sensors include SPY-3 and SPY-4 radars providing unprecedented awareness. Her weapons include evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, rolling airframe missiles, and phalanx guns. Ford generates 3 times the electrical power of Nimitz ships, preparing her for directed energy weapons and railguns when those mature. Her design emphasizes survivability through improved compartmentation and redundancy. Automation slashes operating costs. Fewer crew means billions saved over the ship's lifetime while maintaining superior capability. All right, time to answer those burning questions you've been waiting for. First up, how many carriers does the U.S. Navy actually have? 11 active carriers. That's more than every other country on Earth combined. Think about that for a second. Second question, what's the biggest carrier ever built? That's USS Gerald R Ford at over 100,000 tons and 1,100 feet long. She's the biggest warship ever to float. Third, can modern carrier killer missiles actually sink these things? Here's the truth. No ship is unsinkable, but American carriers are incredibly tough. When the Navy used a retired carrier for target practice, they pounded it with weapons for 4 weeks straight before it finally went down. These ships are built to survive. From Langley's humble beginnings to Ford's electromagnetic revolution, we've just covered a century of naval dominance. If this opened your eyes to something new, there's plenty more where that came from. Until next time.